And the idea of the I think it's loading. And the idea of the project is to do open source software, to promote the idea that this kind of having 3D worlds online can be useful for many things, and the idea is so that it's all open source and royalty free with the Apache, like a BSD style license, and it's basically inspired by the web. So with the web, it works so that if you want to install a web server and make your own web service, you don't have to pay anything. You can get open source servers for that. And of course, nobody pays anything for the web browsers either. So that's sort of the idea here, that we make open source like server, and then the client application that can be used by anybody to do any kind of applications. Like you can now make websites, but instead of web pages with HTML documents, in this case it is 3D scenes where you can, for example, make a game, and then we have like Python and JavaScript scripting, so that you can make custom user interface and functionality to the application, and we use Blender to actually like make the scenes, and that's what this talk is mostly about. And well, I can perhaps show a little bit of what I had there already. What the stuff looks like. If I can get rid of this one, or go away. So this is like the original Linden Labs Second Life application, and we used we first made a modified version of this where we added the Ogre graphics rendering, but and then it's possible to use this server software called OpenSim to put your own server, so you don't have to put your content to the proprietary Second Life servers. But then we have made this new client application, which we call Naali. Naali is the Finnish word for Arctic fox. So we think that it's like Firefox, but the difference is that instead of web pages, it shows 3D worlds, and it's made using a Qt for the user interface. So, for example, what we see here is that I'm making a door. Then door has logic that the door can be locked, and only if you have a key you can open the locked door. So, for example, this custom thing here that you can use to control the door is a little Python add-on for this application. So, and this was not possible really with the Linden Lab Second Life stuff, that you can't really customize the user interface and do all that sort of stuff easily. So that's why we wrote this new application using Qt and Ogre. But that's it basically. It has lots of stuff like 3D editing, which actually Nathan, who was here, has been working on. So for example, this 3D manipulator is also implemented in Python by me, and so it's also like just a script. So if your application needs a different kind of user interface like that, you can just write them. So that's the idea. But now, Pablo.
Can we switch the beamer to this computer? Okay, so Anton presented the platform, which is RealXtend, and now I will present the tool that connects Blender to this virtual world framework. Yeah. So the tool is called V2Rex, or just Blender to RealXtend exporter. Well, the the thing is that there is I've been working very long time with companies and like trying to make money with open source and video games. And in the last times, a trend that we could see is that these virtual worlds, like interconnected virtual worlds, is really requested by industry or education, so that people can have a shared world, and then they can have different kind of simulations, like with a teacher and students and so on. No? And so in this world, the best thing in open source is the OpenSim, which is the open source version of Second Life, and then I found out that these people was making the RealXtend version, which is more advanced. No? The problem with OpenSim and Second Life is that it doesn't really support meshes, so people have to make the whole environment based on cubes, spheres, and like some fancy techniques. So this platform implements the mesh concept, so that then you can already start using, you can start modeling real scenarios, which is really what is needed. So once we get to this point, we have this open source platform, which is RealXtend with Qt client, Python and JavaScript scripting, Augur rendering, the Second Life network system. Basically, as state of the art is possible, I think. So yeah, the only thing which was missing is the connection to to produce these meshes. No? So we started working on this project with the goals to make as much integration as possible between Blender and the RealXtend or OpenSim protocols. So starting from the more straightforward parts, like just uploading worlds to the server, and with the goal of making as much as possible between the interaction of a great platform like Blender for 3D modeling and prototyping and so on, and this like incredible platform for connected worlds. So connection to the servers directly, upload the worlds, to support the nice materials, like with the Augur rendering engine supports really nice, like the most advanced techniques, so to be able to produce this kind of content and upload to the world. No? Then character support, and also eventually to support logic, so that it's also possible for the artist to add simple or more advanced logic to the world itself. So it's like the doors that open and all these things. Also, as a side effect, I think it's also possible that the OpenSim RealXtend platform will add something to the Blender workflow. I will explain this a little bit later. So, yeah, the goal is to interconnect these two platforms. This is the web page and the code for the project. Like the project is open source, and it's all like everything that is coded, like the RealXtend platform, is available every day. You can check the SVN, or you can always be up to date with the developers. There is a kind of forum thing to upload images, discuss, and so on. And the code in GitHub, the normal place for developers to communicate. Also, well, it's not directly related to the project, but the goal is also that this kind of platform can be interconnected to the virtual world, but this is something else. So, the base interface for the exporter, the idea is try to make a very simple interface that will not require too many controls, or as less as possible, and use the Blender controls instead. For two reasons. One is not to overload the artist and try to focus on making it simple, that the artist doesn't have to touch 2 million buttons to have something working. And also, so this way it's easier to work with the current Blender platform and 2.5. So that, like, when we need to adapt the code, it will not be a total disaster. Yeah, for the moment we are working with the 2.49 series because, for stability reasons, and wait to the 2.5 to be a little bit more stable. But the plan is implement to adapt it when needed. The code base is not too big, so it can be done fast. So I will just open the interface for a second. So the basic interface is a simple interface. It's controlling the Augur exporters at the moment because RealXtend works over the Augur format, and it might work also with Collada eventually. But for the moment, it was using the Augur exporters. But for the artist, it was a lot of work. Like had to do many different phases. So this is building on the Augur exporters and using the Augur exporter GUI. Whoops. I will put it in English. Okay. So yeah, when it starts, it only has these buttons to export, connect, and then some settings about which server to connect to, and some controls about object kind of things to cache. And then once the Blender is connected by hitting connect, then we get a list of the available regions so that we can select which region from OpenSim we want to upload to, and then we can just click and the region will go up. So there is this is not the only interface. There is two other interfaces that I will talk after, but the idea was not to try to make one interface with a lot of tabs, but make this one for this, and then there is in other parts in Blender you can open other interface for other things, so that depending on what the artist is working on, he's not overloaded with too many controls. Okay, the scene export upload. One of the initial goals was to be able to load arbitrary scenes from Blender and to upload them to the world directly. So we can just open any little world or bigger and click, and it will be directly in the server shared. Also, the exporter can upload, once the scene is uploaded, there is a relation which is maintained between the server and the client, so the blend file is still kind of connected. So the artist can upload the scene, but later can keep making changes and can keep re-uploading. So the blend file is somehow linked to the world. And also you can use many different blend files for managing a region, and you can open every blend file separately and upload. It can, yeah, that's the maintain consistency part. For people interested, internally it works by storing a UUID inside the Blender objects, both for objects, meshes, materials, and textures. So everything is linked to the world. So, yeah, simple example. This is the RealXtend client connected to OpenSim or Taiga server that I have in my local hard drive. Well, about how to call the server, I'm not sure, no? But the RealXtend server at the moment is the OpenSim server with some extensions that it's called Taiga also. So sometimes I will say OpenSim server or a Taiga server, it's the same. So now I'm running it locally to avoid problems with the connection. So, okay, and I have some worlds already imported here, and this is this region that I'm browsing is the same one which is connected here. So, for example, this cathedral is the one which is uploaded there. So, Blender. Okay, sorry, the Blender is gone for a moment. But I reopen it, and since it's still the same the same object that I exported, it's still linked. So if I move anything, if I move the object in the scene and I refresh, then the objects just move and go to the right place. Also, now it's working with the selected object, so I can just play with a little bit of the scene. I don't have to sync everything all the time, which it's quite kind of okay for the export process, because the problem with working with a platform that you have to export from is that every time you have to export the whole world. So with this, even if it's not syncing in real time, it still makes the work kind of easier. So the artist can just sync one of the parts, and also there can be many different blend files with different parts of the scene, which is also easier for communication between a lot of different artists. Okay. So this is because I'm maintaining the objects. If I regenerate them, then I would get another copy, basically. So I can keep playing. Well, I kind of broke it now. And then, yeah, the others are other scenes that are also different blend files. For example, this one is this other blend file, yeah. And these are all scenes that have been tested previously with other engines too. And so basically right now, the exporter can open any scene and it will normally look the same. It will, okay. So about material support, the RealXtend is using Ogre, like I said, and it's at the moment using a special shader coded in CG that supports, like a super shader that supports normal maps, BAP maps, and so on. So also one of the first parts was to improve on the Ogre exporter, or not exactly improve it, but adapt it to use this specific shader, so that it will make a full use of the RealXtend material system. It's probably later we will be changing the shaders too, so because CG doesn't run in all computers properly, but anyways, for the moment it provides really good support, really good results. So it's there is no special interface, it's just using the controls from the Blender interface, and it's basically based on the combination of a material with several textures, and each of the textures is marked as a normal map or a specular map or a displacement map in the normal way that you would do for designing a rendering in Blender. And then the exporter takes care to compose this into a valid shader for RealXtend. So, well, actually, because of how the shader is done, not all the combinations are valid, but this is documented in the web page. And yeah, there is also a little extra interface that allows to preview like the code that will be generated to be able to assess if the combination that we selected is the right one that we want. So some of the possible combinations is BAM maps, which is just a normal UV texture with a normal map. Specular, which is a reflection texture, basically mapped spherically. Shadows, which is extra part of the shader. In the current rendering system in RealXtend is using shadow buffers, so it gives very good result So this was also one of the first. Yeah, that was the idea. So it's like all the objects work fine, even the animated characters. Well, at the moment, like I put this other house just on top, so we don't see it so cool, no? But like I'm missing half of the shadows. But yeah, they work for any object, which is really, really nice. So we can have a very advanced rendering. It's not using defer shading, so don't use too many lights. But other than this, it's for the result that the education or industry is used to, which is like very basic virtual reality. This is super cool. So it's a really good argument for selling. So parallax, this wasn't really available, but it's the artists love to have parallax, so it was also added to the shader, which is just the bump map with a displacement map, yeah, to say which is the height of each of the objects. Okay, so the next thing that the exporter supports already is characters. The RealXtend is using a special XML file, like a special kind of bundle for characters. So yeah, this is also supported in the exporter through a different interface because it's not really like for the user character, it's loaded in a different way. So yeah, simple character with a not very nice animation. So there is this other exporter. Well, the exporters are available here. Yeah? So there is the normal exporter, which is the one that can upload the scenes and can connect to the world, and the character exporter, which for the moment just exports the character in a way that can be loaded from the viewer, because there is no protocol yet for uploading the character in this way. Yeah, another technical detail is OpenSim RealXtend is using REST, XML RPC, and their own kind of protocol. So it's using basically everything. And the goal also is to connect everything from Blender. For the moment, we are only using the REST and XML RPC, which are asynchronous, so it's nice for Blender, doesn't need to keep connected. And then there is the real-time protocol I talk after. So basically, for the moment, you can export the character, and then it's from the interface, the user can load it afterwards. So, well, the animation is a bit slow. Actually, it's not for flying. But yeah, anyways, you can create your own character. For the moment, it's loading only the animations, not the morph targets, but the morph targets are also available from RealXtend, so it should be supported soon too. The animations are we going too slow or?
Yeah, well, I think.
Whoops. Okay, we are close to finish.
We can wrap up in like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, I can if I want to go fast.
Yeah.
The animations are taken based on the name, basically. There is 10 or 12 names for RealXtend, like hover, walk, run, blah, blah. And for logic, we want to implement the logic system, so component system, state machines, something that the user also can. This is just fake screenshot, yeah? But give the artist the possibility, like I said. For the moment, the RealXtend is going to component system, no? Physics support, they are also supported by RealXtend through Bullet, so also to allow more control from Blender, to give more control to the more connection in both directions, so that Blender can use the OpenSim as an asset server, and so that Blender can connect with the real-time protocols too, so that when moving stuff, it will be, you don't need to press the sync, but it will be automatic. And yeah, thanks to all these different people, Blender for making the nice 3D program, RealXtend for making the platform, OpenSim for starting. NLnet funding the project, Lorea providing the web support, and free open software in general, yeah? And all of you.
I think we could have time for 1 or 2 quick questions, if anybody has a question.
Yeah, Pablo, you promised to show the other way around from RealXtend to Blender, if there is time for that.
No, to show no, it's planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question?
Do you plan later to use the physical engine in your software, or is it easy to export all the data for the, I don't know, for dynamic object? And this is already done for Ogre, or?
RealXtend already supports the physics by
Okay.
using Bullet or ODE, but so it's kind of automatic, but then we still need to add more control from the exporter to handle joints or more parameters like the mass, spring constants, and so on. But it's planned. It's somehow supported already in RealXtend, but from the exporter it's planned to.
You will support also the materials for the friction of these kind of things? Or?
As the physics engine supports, but generally they don't support these ones. I think the first goal is to be able to make cars, which is the fun.
Just a quick question. You said there is a difference between the game engine and Ogre. What is the main difference you see? Is the rendering is better, or?
At least it used to be also performance. If you have a big scene with lots of objects and large worlds.
Bidding well, I think.
With the game engine and over.
Okay. Yeah, the thing is the Blender game engine is integrated into Blender, no? And in this case, Ogre is a library. So I guess it was more, well, I don't know, but more appropriate to make a client from scratch integrated with Qt and supporting all the protocols from OpenSea.
And it also has to do with license, because the idea here is that game companies can use this like a library to make also proprietary games, because it's PSP style license.
Thanks.
Thanks to Toni and Pablo. I think we can prepare for a next session after good applause for these 2 guys. Then one small thing is that one attendant was taking his jacket and took it, but it was a different jacket of his own. It looked the same, but it had a pack of cigarettes in it, and he doesn't smoke. So if someone is missing a jacket, it will be here. Or the cigarettes, then please contact me. So please, for the next talk, we can make preparations.